All right, good afternoon. I know some of you guys were at the morning session. My name is Daniel Eng, and I am going to be kind of going over residential to commercial. We are live stream, so if you want to share that or rewatch it, I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quick because I know it's been a long day. So I've been doing commercial real estate since I was born in the womb. My parents were in multifamily back in the 80s and also did development. And then right after high school, right after I graduated Plano East, I got my real estate license. But then I went off to school to study banking and finance. I came back in 2001. And from there, I started my commercial career. Not your typical agent. I was, because my family was in the business already, I kind of was learning the property management side, managing the retail centers, things like that. So a lot of you guys are on the residential side. So a lot of commercial brokers, typically you just refer it out. You don't get to learn. Because my background, I had two franchises. I had a residential franchise and a commercial franchise. And before that, I was independent. And then later on went to Keller Williams, started the commercial division there. So I kind of learned the residential ropes, kind of understanding what you guys were doing. And for past 10 years in my career, I always said no, I didn't do any residential. So every no was a referral check for 10 years. So you can imagine how many no's and how much referrals. And then when I got into that Resimercial world, I realized, there's a lot of opportunity because your clients, guess what? If they own a business, that's commercial. Maybe their work job is at an office building or in a place, they need commercial, right? So there's a lot of cross. But how do we get you both into that section from residential to commercial? So my business partner and I, we met in 2008 at CCIM class. So we were both designated CCIM members. He's also the past president for the chapter here. That's a great networking arena because people who are you don't just take the class and get your CCIM. You have to have your portfolio in order to take the final exam. So everyone that's taking the classes, they're either in the industry. So if that's something you want to take your commercial to the next level, don't take all the 4 classes right away. Take 1 or 2, and then from there, continue on your path in the commercial side. So Resimercial, expanding your real estate game, how to transition. I always share that, commercial is a total different animal. Because our lingo is different, the way we speak. Most of us, I think predominantly 90% are male versus residential is opposite, right? So we think differently sometimes, and sometimes we're not very nice. We don't call back. You've probably gone through this. I see some people chuckling. But with commercial real estate, you have long-term relationships because the leases are longer. And then they renew, and then your investors, right? There's more repeat clients because your investor pool may not be one investor buying everything. They might be dividing their money into multiple properties. So that's why, why you should consider commercial real estate and diversifying your skill set to do more things. So what is a Resimercial agent? Well, that's a term that I kind of, I don't know who made that name, but I've been using it for a long time. I started using that when I was at KW, and basically it's a person that does both, right? And a lot of people who are residential, they stick with residential. There's some people who only do commercial, and there's people like the crazy ones that do Resimercial. And, a lot of people make fun of that middle category. Commercial people sometimes don't understand what that means. But the thing is, if you're an entrepreneur and you're taking classes and you got a good mentor and you got a support group, there's no reason why you can do both. However, your time is valuable too, because we don't have all the time in the world. I'm in the EXP platform. That allows me to build a residential team. It allows me to build a commercial team. It allows me to find the people that want to do Resimercial. So there's actually 3 categories now that you can build here. So key differences on residential and commercial. One, it's the emotional state versus everything is more financial decision making. Typically in a residential, it's like, oh, I don't like the kitchen cabinet colors. And then it kills the deal. Where if we don't like something, we're just gonna, like, how much does it cost to replace it and be done and just move on, because the location. Sometimes the location is more important than what it looks like, or have to rebuild it, whatever. Transaction timelines. You guys close in 30 days. We might close in 6 months. It might close in a year, 2 years. I was working on the Plano Market Square. We sold that property. It took me 4 years to get that thing sold. Went under contract, I think, 8 times. So a lot of time, a lot of spent, money spent, but it closed during COVID. So we were very lucky and fortunate. And now it got redeveloped. There's multifamily there now. There's an office component. Our forms, you guys use Trek forms, so it's promulgated forms. In commercial, yes, we have some TAR commercial forms, things like that, but typically I don't think we use them unless the landlord's not very sophisticated, just wants a standard form, then you can use those. But typically, you don't send off a contract through TAR. We do have another association called NATCAR, North Texas Association of Realtors. That's separate from MetroTex, and that's predominantly all commercial people in that association. They do have forms that we actually use because the attorneys that draft it really focus on the commercial side. Leases, when I say attorney drafted, typical commercial contracts are attorney drafted. So you got to work with your attorney to draft the lease for your lease or sales contract. What we call PSA, PSA purchase sales agreement is another term that we use. And valuation method. You guys use CMA. We use another indicator like with cap rate and NOI. So types of commercial real estate: office, retail, industrial, multifamily, hospitality, land. Land can be also like residential, but typically it's developing something into commercial. Multifamily, retail, shopping centers, things like that. So steps to how do you transition? What do you do? So you got to learn the lingo, right? So understand what NOI means, net operating income. Understand what cap rate means. It's a short term for capitalization rates. What does that mean? And then take courses, earn your certification. If you're a realtor in Texas, there is a Texas commercial accreditation for commercial. I highly recommend you guys take your foundation classes through MetroTex. They have it, and also TAR. They have or Texas Realtor now. They don't call it TAR, but I still call it that. There's different academies that you can go to as well. So just find the ones that you can schedule yourself to get your foundation in. Step 3 is shadow, right? So shadow means sit in the car, drive that commercial broker around, and just listen to how he talks and negotiate. Don't ask questions sometimes. Just listen and watch and shadow. That's the best thing, is go to the property with them, have a tour, carry their stuff. I mean, that's one way to do it. And then you'll learn a lot, because in that whole day car ride and going to the properties and you go and talking to the other brokers, that's one way. And then you got to choose a specialty asset class. So there's a lot of people who only focus on office, and then industrial, and then retail, and hospitality, and land, right? All these asset classes, typically the broker or the commercial brokers, they only focus on 1 or 2 things, typically just one. And that's what they're good at. Because when you work for a corporate firm, they just want you to focus on one, because they're going to maximize you as an agent. So it's different in the commercial world, because if you work for the big corporate commercial firms, you're almost like an employee. You have to stay in your lane, because they want to squeeze and maximize you to make the most commission for their house split. So they're not as entrepreneurial as we are as residential agents. You guys are more. I feel like you guys are more entrepreneurial, mindset wise. Okay, so you kind of choose which one you like. And what's nice about you guys, because you guys get to choose. You get to dabble and figure out which class you like, right? If you like the office component. Office industrial brokers are nicer. They share data. Retail brokers, we're kind of cutthroat. I'm a retail guy, so I understand. We don't share. Our landlords are tough. It's just a different category of people. And marketing to your investor clients. You guys all have investors, right? People that you're selling homes to. Eventually, as they're saving their their funds, they're going to invest in something, right? And there's investor groups out there, right? Especially during COVID, I saw a lot of these little investor crowdfunding groups start up. One of my relatives, they just started a new real estate club to help people invest and educate them, right? So there's a lot of things and then get into these groups because those are your investors, right? So you can join these networking groups to get in. So how do you search commercial deals? So we don't have a commercial MLS per se. So the data is not all there. You can use LoopNet, but LoopNet is very limited because now, LoopNet has changed. Like before, everything was there. Now, as a broker, if I have a listing, I have to pay to put on LoopNet. So whatever you see on LoopNet is only for the people who paid to put their stuff on there. Okay, so it's a different thing. Crexi is a new competitor that came in a few years ago, and it's free to view all the stuff. It's free for me to list all my properties out there. There is a paid version. It's really for the listing agents. They can see who's searching their property. So for you guys, Crexi is free. Set up your account, and the free version is fine. If you need more details and stuff, you can get the pro version, but free is good. CoStar. So CoStar is going to be closer. Oh, you need the. Yeah. So CoStar is going to be, not saying equivalent to your commercial MLS. That is probably the main one that commercial brokers have to use. Is their data accurate? No. Do we have to have it as a commercial broker? Yes. Do we like it? No. It's a monopoly. They own Homes.com. They own other companies now. They bought LoopNet. So they're a big company out there. Our company with eXp Commercial, we have a good discount because I used to pay like $600-700 a month. I'm getting it now at $250, which is great. So that helps for me to cut costs. And my commercial team has access to it, to their own CoStar account to do searches. So that's why you want to partner up with somebody, or else you're going to be forking $500-600 a month, where you can have a partner that has that and help you out. Your MLS does have a commercial component, but remember, a lot of commercial brokers are not NAR members. So why did eXp Realty and eXp Commercial separate the companies out? Because eXp Commercial, we're not realtors. We're not NAR members. We don't join the association. We don't have the MLS. And typically, like CBRE, Marcus Millichap, Jones Lang, all these, they're not NAR members. So guess what? Their data is not on here. So the data that's on here is probably like a Remax Commercial, KW Commercial, because they are in the MLS. So, but there's data there. We've done deals through this, so don't shy away. Look at both things. Look at Crexi and look at this if you have the MLS. Local broker networks. There's one tomorrow. There's one in Dallas at the Perry Steakhouse every Tuesday every month. I think at 4 to 7. One of the commercial brokers hosts one. It's just everyone to get together. But there's a lot of different networks that you can join. CCIM has a chapter. They do events. NatCar does some stuff. Other things, of course, public records, right? Try to do your searches. There are other sites called like Reonomy that has the public records, but sometimes gets you the phone number and emails. It's just hard to find data. CoStar also has that too. So for brokers looking, that we use CoStar predominantly for that. All right, understanding math. So we need to understand what NOI is. We need to understand what cap rate, and then gross rent multiplier is something, generally I think more on the multifamily side they use to calculate. I don't really use that much. And then lease types. what's a triple net lease? What's a gross lease? What's a modified gross lease? So with NOI, basically you take all your annual gross income and then you minus it by the operating expenses. This operating expense does not include, mortgage payments, depreciation, all that. So this gets you that NOI. And this NOI is really important because once you get the NOI, you can kind of get the valuation of what the property will value at. So the next one we would talk about is cap rate. So when we go to cap rate, cap rate is here. So cap rate is basically your NOI divided by your property value, which gives you the rate. So if you know the cap rate, then you can kind of know what the value is. So you just need to have two to figure out the formula, okay? So gross rent multiplier is basically if you have the property price divided by the annual rent income, kind of gives you the GRM, and then from there you can kind of compare other properties right away. So it's a quick indicator, but I really don't use that. And then lease types. Triple net lease, you probably hear that all the time. So typical like retail centers, we have our what we call base rents plus the triple net rent. So what does that mean, right? And what is the triple net? So if you're negotiating a lease, say it's a 3-year term at $20 a square foot plus triple net. Well, you got to ask what because the triple net changes. So the triple net includes property tax, property insurance, and then what we call CAM, common area maintenance. And a tenant is saying they have 5,000 square feet. They're paying a portion of their space for the property tax, property insurance, and then the common area maintenance. All right. And if the property taxes go up, guess what? They would have to pay the increase. So that adjusts. The landlord gets their base rent. See, versus multifamily, if your expenses go up, your rent doesn't go up. You're taking, as an owner, you take in the hit. But with the triple net lease, a lot of retail, and that's why my family went into the retail, because we could cover those costs. We knew that tenants were paying for that. So now you got gross lease where tenant pays one flat rent and landlord covers all the expenses. So it doesn't matter what the expenses are. The tenant's rent is this. Typical warehouses, the older leases that we had were gross lease. And now they got smart and they went modified. So some of the expenses are covered. So maybe like the electricity or certain things are covered, but not everything. So we have a modified gross lease as well. I'm going to go back to the cap rate because I know that's going to be a question here. So cap rate is important, but it's not everything. A lot of people, like when they come to me, like, oh, my client wants a 9% cap rate. Okay, what does that mean? Like he means he wants a 9% return on, if he bought something, it would be a 9% return. But 9% is a little high because it's an indicator, your risk. So it kind of calculates, because the lower the cap rate, the higher the sales price, right? The higher the cap rate, the lower the sales price. But if it's higher the cap rate, that means the property, so it's an indicator of how much risk this property you're buying, right? If you buy a Starbucks, low cap rate, maybe 5%, right? Because it's a corporate guarantee, 20-year lease, things like that. So they can sell the property higher. We can go over more detail later. I don't want to kind of confuse you, but that's when you see that term cap rate, and you'll see it in any offering memorandum of valuing a property. So if you look at the market value of 10 million, the NOI is 500,000, it's showing a 5% cap rate. What happens if we move this lower, say to 4%, this number will be higher. If we move this number to 8%, this number will be lower. Okay. And if you're just looking at it just by, you can't value everything by that. But if you see that the cap rate is at 10%, then we gotta, in the market, like what's being sold is at 7%, then we got to say, hey, why is this property selling at 10%? Are the leases shorter? Are there leases coming up? You know, maybe there's a big tenant moving out. So things like that. But we don't know until we have a whole case study. But that's what example of a cap rate. All right. So timeline. I know this is important. So if you can focus, 1 or 2 months starting your classes, starting the shadow, right? And at the same time, network with investors and partners. And then, by the 5th, 6th month, you should be able to get a small commercial deal landed to work on. But then you got to focus 6 months, meaning, can you drop your residential for 6 months? Can you really focus? It's hard. So that's why you got to find a mentor that's willing. A lot of people don't have the time, right? If you say you don't have time to drop your residential, how can this commercial person take you on for 6 months and so you have to find someone that's willing to work your schedule, and they're willing to, and you have to work their schedule, right? So you got to find those partners that are willing to do that. And then at the same time, you got to figure out which is your niche, which asset class do you like. I have a guy that only likes restaurants. He was a DoorDash guy, so he picked up a lot of restaurant deals because he knows all the restaurant owners now, right? So those are things where, you can do where you're connecting with people on DoorDashing. If people are doing DoorDash, nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a business, right? Your own thing. Like all these things came out in 2009. These ideas of having a platform. EXP also came out in 2009. It was a platform for brokers, for real estate agents. So the importance of partnering with a commercial specialist. So one, if you're at a residential company and your broker doesn't do commercial, you have to find a commercial person because it compliance with your license. Because if you're not competent and you're trying to do something you're not competent and something happens, guess what? You're in trouble, and your broker's going to be in trouble. So it's best to partner up with somebody to work together. Maybe a few times refer and learn. So a lot of agents come to me like, hey, I'm going to refer this to you, but I want to learn everything. The way you're going to learn everything is refer it out, stay on the emails, read those emails, don't ask questions yet, and then get the deal done. You do a few of those like that, you're building a relationship with this commercial broker that's like, oh, you're serious, you do have clients. Then that commercial broker is going to take time with you to do that. Or also they don't even want to take the deal, right? Because they don't know if you vetted the client yet. They don't know what's going on. And I get a lot of calls all the time from EXP, like, hey, I want 50%. I'm like, well, are you going to do 50% of the work, right? Just do your typical, refer. Sometimes a referral is not even 25%. Because it might take a whole year process and a lot of driving around and negotiating different properties. So typical referrals can range from 15 to 25%. So it may not be. Some people want more than 25%. They see the dollar sign, like, oh, I want 50-50. And a lot of my team members are like, no, it's not going to work that way unless you're really seriously and you've gone through the trainings. If you're brand new, don't ask for a 50-50. So because sometimes you're like a top producing residential and you come in like, well, it's my client and I want 50-50. And you have to come up with this attitude. The broker's like, oh, go find somebody else to do it. But you may not even close it. So just be careful who you talk to. Just make sure it's a partnership. Whoever you're bringing this to, make sure it's a structure of the deal where you're partnering, getting the guidance. Set the expectations from both sides. So, all right, tools and resources. Well, Eng CCIM Institute, NatCars here. They do a monthly events, local commercial boards, coaching and mentorship groups. There's a lot out there. EXP Commercial, we have Academy. I know that they give that to the residential side. I don't know when they schedule that. I think once a month there might be a little class or video that they go through. There's like a 6 weeks program. If that's something that the group is interested, we can take that program. And Katie's taught the class before. You're doing that on Tuesdays, so we have that here. If there's enough demand, you just have to let us know. Like, hey, there's a demand for it. Let's start it back up. Let's get a couple of leaders, and I can schedule and have different speakers, every module that comes in. We have a 6 weeks program. We can have 6 coaches come in because everyone has different ideas how they coach, and you get to learn from them. Building up your network. So, there are mastermind groups. There's investor meetups. Connect with a lot of commercial property managers, leasing agents, and then of course social media. Use social media to show your growth. One of my members, Yoshi, he has a commercial meetup once a month. He's been using, I guess, Legacy West. He does a lot of multifamily syndications, so a lot of investors go to that. So you get to connect with more people. We did a commercial event in January, so we had people fly in, and we just did a commercial events. This was same thing. This is the happy hour that happens every month. So there's going to be one tomorrow at the Perry Steakhouse. That's from 4 to 7. This was a event that we did around Texas. We went to Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. That's my business partner, one of my partners, taking a break. So I took a picture of them there. This was a multifamily workshop. We had a multifamily workshop here. So what we typically do, we teach a class and then we go to a field trip. So I don't like to just teach a class and then be done. I actually like to go to the developer, go to the project. You guys get access to the developer, ask questions there. Then you guys get to learn. Because when you ask a question, guess what? You're going to be learning because you may have not thought of that question, but it's a good question, right? So those are the things we do. And if that's something, like I said, it's depending on the demand, right? If no one demands this, I'm not going to just do a workshop just to do a workshop. But if there's a need, then we can schedule it out. This was talking about absolute triple net. These are more like ground leases where you lease the ground and basically the tenant builds the property for you and they pay directly the property tax, property insurance, everything. So that's what absolute triple net is. So you just get rent, just leasing the ground to them. And when the lease is over, they hand you back a free building, pretty much. Unless you have the clause where they give you back the land. So you got to make sure you read, do you get that building back? So some of the 7-Elevens, they tear it down. The gas, they pull everything out and they just give you back what you gave them is what they give you back. So yeah, so like at the old Garden Ridge, the lease stated if they did anything outside, they would have to put it back to the original. Well, the seller goes, well, you change this and change that, you got to repaint my whole building. So they repainted it back to the old Garden Ridge colors because they weren't at home. They went back to the orange. So yeah, things like that. This was a lot of events that we go to. This was Barcelona. Got to connect with a lot of different people. Natalie was there. This was EXPCon in 23. And we have this year is our first EXPCon commercial event in Miami. So we're going to do it on the October 20th. The first day we'll have our commercial session, and then next days will be all the residential stuff.
Is that included in the ticket?
Yeah, it's included in the ticket. So the commercials, we have a room for the commercial people now. Yeah, we're kind of like the stepchild for EXP. We have 1,000 versus 90,000 agents. So but we do our own thing. So action. So block out 2 hours, study your commercial, right? If you're serious and like I want to get here, figure out what 2 hours you can do to study, right? These terms, look over contracts, ask for a sample commercial contract. Understand the difference from your residential. We don't have option period. We have feasibility period, right? Consideration, you guys do like $1,000. We just have $100. That's because it's different. Because when a person goes in to buy something, they have to go do their due diligence. They got to check all the leases. Is there an environmental issue? we'll let appraise, a lot of this stuff. So we don't put $1,000 unless you want to negotiate that and be a more of attractive contract if you really want it. But typically, if you use the NAT car, it's just $100 is our, I guess we say, option fee. So very different. But after 30 days or 45 days, your $100,000 earnest money might go hard. So it's very different. Schedule coffee meetings with commercial brokers. So pick their brain, take them out to lunch. They need to eat. So see if they can share some insights. They're more morning people. So coffee, 7:30, 7 o'clock is when they meet up. When we do our night car events, our meetings start at 8 o'clock, finishes at 9. After that, it's work. So it's a very different thing. Residential, you guys like to do a lot of happy hours. We like to do our meetings in the morning. So, and then weekends, we don't work weekends. So don't ask a commercial broker to show a space and things like that on the weekends. It's not going to happen. And then summers, very slow. Why? That's when they travel. So a lot of owners are out of town. So the commercial brokers are out of town. And then once Thanksgiving, Christmas hits, it's kind of everyone slows down too. So it's very different. So you just got to understand, the ones that work on the weekends,
It's sounding a lot more appealing.
Oh, the more appealing. It's different. It's different. I mean, it's 9 to 5, so you got to look at commercial time. You got to come in the office.
Banker hours.
Yeah, banker hours. That's how it is before. Is it changing because of the Resimercial? Yeah, because you guys are more flexible. You guys are willing to work with different clients that are needing to see on the evenings, right? But your typical investors are going to be banker hours. But there is still that niche. So if you're in a category where, well, my restaurant owner can't get out, he only can do certain days, then you got to work with them, and then you got to find those brokers that are willing to work. Or if they have a lockbox, typically typical on the commercial side, we have to open the door. One is a liability, right? Because sometimes you're going to a space that has all the equipment, and if you're relying on some other broker forgetting to lock the door, that's it. Career's over. So typically they have to be there and open the door. Some do have lock boxes, but don't. Yeah, usually they don't. So I guess one of the etiquettes is don't look like you're a residential person talking to them. And sometimes they CC me. So some of my residential team members, they'll CC me in the email. And if I know the broker, if they tell me who it is, like, oh, I know that, I've dealt with them. And I'll just respond like, hey, John, thanks for working with Kelly on this deal. Hopefully you guys can make it done, make it go through. Let me know if you need any help or anything I can assist with. That's it. Then they know that somebody else is helping that agent, because they might sense they're new and they'll just, run over them. That's right. So use my name, use Calvin's name, my business partner, whoever, CC me. Just let me know if you need me to respond, or because I'm CCing on a lot of stuff. But if they don't tell me that I need to respond or look at it, I don't look at it. So, what was it? Start working on one deal with a mentor and partner. I would do at least 5 or 6 deals first before you really know what you're doing. It's going to take time. I mean, you look at a lot of junior brokers that join, like Marcus and Millichap. It takes them 2 years to be in a team. So they're paying 50-50 split to the house, and they're part of a team that's paying 50-50. They only get 25%, right? And they take 2 years to learn this business. So for you as a residential agent, you have to put the ego down too, and also learn. Like, it takes time. Yes, you can. You're more seasoned in negotiating because you've already done negotiating, but you have to start almost like new. You can probably learn faster than these junior agents that join out of college, but at the same time, they're doing a lot more research. They know how to use CoStar right away. They can, and they're building their database. You have your database, but it's not like their database. Okay. Yeah. Question and answers, Q&A, anything?
Maybe 25%, but for a bigger check. right?
Huh?
It might be 25%, but it's a bigger check.
Oh yeah, it's a bigger check. So one of the strategies, because our platform is pretty unique, is you can introduce us to a commercial broker that you're wanting to bring onto your team, into your organization. So imagine that, we're talking to you. You can, if you know someone like, oh, this would be a great platform, Daniel, but I don't know how to explain EXP commercial. Well, that's why I'll help you. And then therefore, if you imagine bringing a commercial leader here, well, guess what? That's your partner for all your commercial deals, right? And then imagine they're growing their commercial team. That's one way to do it. That's what I did with the residential. I don't do residential, but I have a lot of residential partners that do the residential side. You can do the same thing with the commercial, but commercials, their ego's higher. So if you bring someone like me on, at least I can kind of hopefully try to bring it down for them to understand and listen, because they have to be open-minded about this platform. But then, I'm meeting with a commercial broker tomorrow. My business partner set it up. We've met them before. I just have to find some pain points, understanding how I can support them. Yeah. Any other questions? I know it's like pretty basic, but kind of hopefully you can have an insight of like what you guys can do, because you have to start thinking about who your clients are, what business do they have, how can you help them, and then if it's like a restaurant owner, okay, then you got to understand restaurant terminology. Grease trap, how many gallons is a grease trap? The plumbing, how many floor drains? Vent hood, how many linear foot is their vent hood? Because if they want to sell that business or something, or they're looking for that, or they want to, say you go to the restaurant, you see that they have a 10-foot vent hood, and they say, yeah, that's all they need. Then when you're looking for another property, if there's a vent hood 10 feet or more, right? If it's a vent hood that's only 5 feet, well, it's not going to work. So then you're wasting time showing that space, and they go in there like, oh, this is not going to work.
And
You just,
look at you like,
yeah. So there's a lot of little things. I mean, there's no way I can go over this with you, but those are little things like that. You had a question?
Yeah, so actually, thank you for sharing all of this, because it was pretty comprehensive, and it actually hit me really good, because when I was in Keller Williams, I joined KW Commercial.
Okay.
I went through all the training because I wanted to do commercial.
Yep.
And they are not really pro Resimercial agents.
Yeah.
They're like, you either commercial
Correct.
or residential. But I had a really good residential business.
Yep.
And what you said there, like, are you willing to do the job that takes to do the whole commercial thing? Is going to hurt your residential business if you don't have someone else working with you, or something that is really in motion.
Yeah.
And that happened to me. I was, of course, it was also bad timing. I wanted to do small multifamilies because I was investing in large syndications, but I knew, brand new aging women is not gonna do a big thing in large multifamilies starting. So I wanted to do small multifamilies. Tax rate changes. Interest rate change.
Yep.
Interest rate went up, so nobody wanted to sell for a lower price than multifamilies. So I said, well, I got all this training. Let me do leases, or retail, and that's true. Retail's brokers. They're mean.
I hope I called you back if you try to call me before.
And yes, and they don't work, after 5, weekend. And it was, at the beginning, for me, it was a big surprise.
Yes.
The mentor that was assigned to me, unfortunately, he only knew land development.
Right.
So he didn't know how to help me either on the multifamily or the leases. So I felt kind of okay. And I got 2 of my residential clients like calling me and say, hey, are you gonna pay attention to me? And I'm like, oh gosh. So kind of put a hold on the whole commercial thing, and I never looked back.
Yeah.
But I find it so fascinating. It is such an amazing world. There is so much to learn, a lot of work to do, a lot of research and understanding when you're presenting a property to a client, what to do, and your client needs to be prepared, needs to have a business plan and all of that. You don't have that in research.
Yeah.
So so much learning there, that I agree with you that you cannot just pretend that you're gonna do your first transaction if you don't have experience.
Correct.
Yes. So
And a lot of these companies like KW Commercial, Remax Commercial, Coldwell Banker Commercial, they're still a residential company. They add a commercial person inside that office. So really, they have to protect that commercial broker or agent that comes in because they're getting all their leads.
yes.
Because one is they're in compliance as a brokerage. There's a commercial person. They get the leads. They run it. They don't want the residential people to do the deals because they have an agreement with this broker that came in. What EXP did was we separate the companies out. EXP Commercial is pure commercial. We don't do any residential at all. We can do some new home sales, but we don't have MLS. The realty side, very unique. You guys can be the Resimercial because it doesn't mess with the commercial side because we're two separate companies. So very different. So, but if you go into the EXP World broker room, those brokers are not going to teach you anything on commercial. So they want, if you go in there, like I have a commercial question, they're going to refer, like you need to talk to somebody inside EXP Commercial to mentor you, and then you guys figure out a deal.
Yes.
But if you're already understanding, you already have your certifications, you know what you're doing, you can be Resimercial. The company's not going to stop you from that.
Question.
Yes.
Would you suggest that we try different types of commercial avenues to find out what we are more attracted to if we don't already know?
I think you should interview different brokers that specializes in different things and ask them why they got into that and what understanding, what it is. Like there's like office people are not retail people. Their personalities are different.
One more thing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I switched to this company EXP is because commercial side.
Yeah.
I doing real estate for almost 6 years. I've been doing several transactions and commercial, big ones, but staff. Those guys make me cry most of the time because it's nothing about residential, no emotions, no drama, no like my husband, this, nothing. This is business.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. So, and especially if you broker don't have that much idea what is commercial, you have to figure out your own. And you feel small like this in front of those guys. So, but I stopped. I went to Champions and paid for my classes. So, like 3 years ago, I started going around Daniel. I chaperone him, and I go how he talk, how he been calling. So I've been kind of around, and I find, oh, I like it. I can be tough. So I decided to get into commercial. So the good thing to be in Daniel's group is, so they have six months, I think six classes academy for commercial. And like the questions she has, how you finding this for you or not. So this is one of the things they give you in the class. They give you and say, okay, because there's so many like retails, like office, leads. So you have to find out what is your niche, what do you like, if you really like. So going to these classes is good because you find out if really is what you want or not. Are you tough or you're not tough?
Yeah.
So I decided to stay.
Yeah.
I can be tough
And even leasing, you can be the landlord leasing marketing person, or you can be a tenant rep.
Exactly.
And tenant rep, I mean, I have a guy, Bob Gibbons, a good friend of mine. He wrote a book on tenant rep, and that's all he does. And that's his specialty. He's been doing that for many, many years.
But
You know?
one of the things I want to say is save a lot of money, because I know you have access and everything, and if you are part of the team, we have access. I want to save money until I get and hit a big thing. So that's why, because when I start creating like a team, I say this team can be learning commercial, and maybe they find out they don't want to do residential and things like that. So that's one of most of the things I did, because I like commercial.
Yeah. And there's I don't know, I think I'm a pretty unique commercial broker where because I've had the residential experience, because I had a residential company with two other partners on a franchise side. And so I understand how you guys think, but maybe I'm like that coach where I'm like in that middle where I'm like, I have more, I don't know, I gravitate to you guys better than the commercial guys. But at the same time, I know, yeah. But at the same time there's value there because, we've closed probably about close to $100 million worth of deals through residential folks. Calvin's closed them. So, I mean, he was shocked, but they're there. You guys have clients. If you're selling luxury homes, $1 million homes, $5 million homes, there's a commercial component there somewhere, right? They know somebody.
Actually, a couple of my builders, they do commercial. As a matter of fact, one of them is building a commercial building right
Yeah.
now.
So they need a leasing agent.
They do.
See? So those are things where you may not be selling it maybe one day, but they need to lease it up. And if you can get us in front of them, like, hey, we have a whole marketing team to help you with leasing. Is that something you want to meet us with? Opportunity.
Perfect.
Whether or not we get it, the thing is, your client gets to know that you do that. You're going to be coming up next time. Like, oh, next time I bill, I'm going to choose you because I already. Or they fire the other people because they didn't do a good job, and then they come back to you. You never know. But you got to get in front of them and letting people know that you exist and you have a commercial team to help you.
What are the requirements to become a residential commercial broker? You don't need
another license. Same license.
But what if you don't have the other license?
There's no.
Can you go to commercial with just the certifications for commercial? If you don't. If you don't have a residential license either.
It's the same license. Residential license and commercial license, same thing.
So you have to have the residential license in order.
You have to have a Trek license.
Yeah.
A license from the state.
Yeah, license for the state. It's the same one. It's just what you specialize in. That's the difference. Because all your Champions Real Estate School is all residential stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're not learning anything commercial, right? And it's only for you to pass the test. Commercial, you got to relearn all that, So.
Daniel, even for someone, because I know probably like a brand new agent or
Mhm.
someone who's thinking to join EXP, they can get co-sponsoring with you.
Yes.
But someone who has been in EXP for a while,
Mhm.
but they want to start working commercial, how does this look like?
Yeah. So there's their directory in EXP Commercial with all the commercial brokers. There are some certified mentors. There are some other agents. You got to find the right person that fits your personality that you can work with, and they have the time to work with you. Like, you can have a top producer, but they may not even have time to talk to anybody because that's all they focus on. So you got to talk to them and figure out who's the one that's gonna have some training, and then that you can join on their calls or come to the in person. So like Katie in our group, she's been opening up. She didn't want to open up everyone, but she's opening up to a few people where the people can get on, and she knows that you're going to give a deal together to work on. So she'll spend the time with you because everything goes back to the time, because if it's take, and you're not giving back, it's not a partnership.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. So you have to tell them like, hey, I'm learning, but at the same time, I'm taking classes too. So you got to just got to be upfront, like, hey, I'm going to be doing this. I need some guidance. Would love to shadow you on your time. And when you tell them that, then they'll make time. But you ask them like, I only have time for this, and they're like, well, I don't have time for you.
Remember, they are tough.
Yeah, you think the guys are tough? The females are even tougher. The female commercial brokers, don't mess with them.
But with her, I'm doing, and she's seeing my constant. Like,
Yeah.
I'm coming, I'm doing.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
let me.
And commercial's changing. We're not on the social media as much, but it's changing because we've picked up deals through social media. It works. It's just getting yourself out there, but you got to know what you're doing too. So don't go in like try to fake it till you make it. I mean, I think sometimes we go in residential to do that. Commercial, you cannot. Liability, and then make sure you find that partner. Yeah. A lot of people fake it till they make it, and you're gonna get in trouble. And I got to deal with the calls afterwards because they're in my organization. I'm like, I got to deal with it. Yeah, hopefully that was kind of insightful. That kind of helped a little bit. Yes.
In Texas, at least, for multifamily, 4 units or under are residential.
Correct.
Above that are commercial.
Yeah.
And how does it work for the downline? So you share that you can have agents in commercial, downline, and they can also have residential in their downline.
Yeah.
It works exactly the same.
Works exactly the same. So I'm commercial. My upline is commercial. His upline is residential, and then the rest are residential. So you can mix. So when I had that aha moment, I'm like, oh, I don't need my residential franchise anymore. and I can just merge everything together, and I can build either side, and everyone can build either side, which is great. So that helps. But like, you know, commercials, we're still about 4.5 years old, still very new. About 1,000 agents. Can we get more? Yes. Can we get more talent? That's our goal. Is we want to not get all the. We've been getting a lot of new agents, and you don't have enough mentors, right? Because they have to mentor these new commercial agents, and we got to mentor the realty side. There's not enough of us. So if you know commercial brokers out there that are willing, that you know this platform can help them, and they can scale, I'll be glad to get on a call. I don't have to co-sponsor them, but I don't mind sharing. For the past 4.5 years, I've been talking to other agents, for their group to try to bring on these commercial people. But now co-sponsoring helps because now I can be injected in to support that way too if they need me to. I don't have to. There's plenty of commercial people. I'm even using another commercial guy, not in my group, to mentor some of my agents. He's out in California because he's a coach. He loves coaching. He's a coach for his athletic groups, and he's a coach for commercial real estate. Paul Frank, he's a great guy. So those are people that you can connect with. He's directly under Brent Gove. I was actually on a call with him on Saturday. He's gonna. I hope he builds a team here because I can leverage his team, let them do the stuff, and I can still take care of what I enjoy. I enjoy meeting all you guys, meeting anything I can help with, explain, grow together. And the company really, I think, made the right move when they added co-sponsorship in May, because it just makes all of us. I think you're in Elena Cardone's, you're in C5, she's in Wolfpack, and then I'm in my other group. So, and then I don't know the other people in different groups, but that works because everything, we're all gonna be we're gonna have a new how you say it, sports shirt with all the co-sponsors' names in different groups, and that's the beauty. Yeah. Okay.
Exciting.
So, if you guys said, hey, we do want more commercial workshops, we can identify what product type we want, and we can schedule it out. I used to have a person that used to do a lot of the commercial teaching. If you guys know someone else that loves teaching, we can get them in here. They don't have to be in the EXP. That's the beauty. I can bring I used to bring other commercial brokers just to teach because they enjoyed it. They did it for me. So if you feel like we can do that, that's fine. I have a space to use, just use it. Because guess what? When you guys leave, it's just an empty real estate space. It just sits here. AC's still on. Electricity's still being paid. And but leverage the space that I have and do more stuff. Like if the C5 group wants to use it, I think yeah, you get. When's your meeting here?
Well, we just came to record some videos, but we're having the buyer seminar on 30th.
30th, yeah, okay, yeah. So things like that, and then the 10X group, Elena Cardone, get a celebrity in my building. Be fun.
Yes, I'm gonna talk to them to see if we can do something.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I know the building's not as pretty but if you feel like, hey, Daniel, you should paint this wall this color, let me know. I can paint it. I just don't know what color. Just let me know. And if there's anything to spruce it up, let me know. I can do that too. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.